Welcome to the Pro Aging Podcast. I'm Steve Gurney, founder of the Positive Aging Community. We're thrilled to have you join us for interactive discussions with pioneers and thought leaders on a wide variety of topics related to aging and longevity. These insightful discussions and the Positive Aging Sourcebook are brought to you thanks to the support from our Positive Aging Community champions. Visit proaging.com to connect with them and discover hundreds of valuable other resources. We're excited to have you with us today, so let's jump into an engaging Positive Aging live and interactive discussion. All right, folks, I am really excited to spotlight some innovative technology that can help us all age in place and live safely and comfortably in our homes, no matter where they are today. And I've got two folks with me today. I've got Kabir, who is one of the founders of Hello Every Day, and I've got Rebecca, who is actually using this product with a loved one. So first off, thanks to both of you for joining me today. And Kabir, why don't we start with you and let's just learn about Hello Every Day. And then Rebecca, I would love to hear some of your real life stories about using the product.
Yeah, Steve, thanks so much for having us. I'm thrilled to be here. I actually put together a couple of slides just to show you sort of what the product is, but before I do that, I'm gonna show you what the product is. So
Okay.
it looks about the size of a pack of cards. It's a human presence sensor. All you got to do is plug it in, but we'll talk about that in just a second. And I've got one sitting right here next to me that's plugged in. You're also
Excellent.
seeing in the background is the 3D printer that we use to actually print these. So I'm sitting here in Lake Oswego, Oregon, which is right outside of Portland, and I'm actually sitting in our little manufacturing space. So we make these right here in our backyard, literally. So let me share my screen, and we'll talk more.
Wow, that is so cool. American made.
American made. That's exactly right. Our website is hello-everyday.com. So this is how we got started. We have collectively a significant lived experience caring for older adults. My co-founding team that's in the picture there, Dr. Mark Levitt, Dr. Huang, and I co-founded this company last year. We had all collectively had a lot of lived experience. It was actually my dad's second death anniversary last week. And it was really interesting watching him go through his journey of aging. He got sick and passed away, and then watching my mom figure out how to live by herself. And that's really what got me clued into how challenging aging can be in our community and in this country. And we realized that there was a gap, and there was a gap that there are no tools to really help solo agers, especially at that beginning of their journey, right? We hear all the time how people find tools for themselves, how they figure out, oh, I got to text my buddy to make sure that they know I'm okay. But there are all of these awkward organic tools that people have adapted, but there's really nothing to help them age in place with confidence, especially if they're alone. And the demographics are startling. In this country, you're going to spend roughly, if you turn 65 today, you're going to spend roughly half your remaining life living alone. That can be 6 to 8 years living alone.
Mhm.
And so having tools to help you live in with confidence dramatically extends your ability to age in place confidently and dramatically improves your quality of life. So that's what we're there for. So we were trying to figure out how to build something that's intuitive, that's built for older adults, and how do we get invited into people's lives? So we're actually pointing to our first office this year and our little manufacturing space that we rented a few months ago. So what is it? It's a little device. It's a human presence sensor that you plug into a regular wall outlet. There are no cameras, there are no microphones, there's nothing to wear. So for older adults, it is very unintrusive and passive. And in fact, lots of our folks, when they take it out of the box and plug it in, they're like, That's it. That's all I got to do. That's all you got to do. There's no Wi-Fi to set up. There are no buttons on the device. There's no app to install. And we're pricing it for our first as we launch at just $15 a month. So it's a very affordable way to get confident about living by yourself. And as we mentioned, it's made here right here in Lake Oswego. So what does it do? So it helps you stay connected. So it sends a text to up to 5 people every day, and it lets them know that you're active, you're up and around. Or if you're not up and around, it lets them know that there's been no activity and somebody should call you. So what you're seeing on the left-hand side of the slide is actually the messages that I get from my mom's device. So Manju is my mom. She was one of our first testers, and I get two messages from her. I get a message when the first time she's up and around, so I know that she's up and around. And I also get a daily report that says that she's active today. And each of those have a little link, and I can click on that. But it gives me a great feeling of being able to walk in her shoes, even though she's just half a mile away from where we live. Just having the visibility that she's up and around. I think one of the things that we discount when we are the sandwich generation, as we all are, where we're caring for our parents and we're caring for our kids, is the amount of stress and anxiety that comes from caring for people that are further away, even if they're only a couple of miles away. And so this is enormously beneficial in just relieving that anxiety and increasing that reassurance. So all you got to do is send a message, and all it does is send a message and lets us know that they're doing okay or they're not doing okay. So Steve, really quickly, you can tailor the messages, right? So if you want maximum privacy, it will only send a message if there is something wrong. If there's no activity or the sensor's not reporting or the temperature is unsafe in the house, it will only do that. So if you are very privacy conscious, you can manage that and say, I only wanted to send a message when there's something wrong. If most people choose the medium privacy where you get a notification every day which says that they're okay or that there's been no activity. And so that's a really good middle ground. And then for people like Rebecca who are very concerned about their mom, and as am I, you want that maximum reassurance. You want the notification, but you also want access to that hourly data. And I'll show you what that looks like in
Okay,
the next slide.
cool.
Uh,
Wow,
and
this is great. This is great.
Thanks, Steve. So this is what that chart looks like. So if you get that hourly data, so if you recall, here's the little link that comes in the text. So if you
Hmm.
elected to get that maximum reassurance, you get that link, you click on that link without a password, it takes you to this hourly dashboard. And this is actually at my co-founder, Mark Levitt's office. The high bars indicate that there's activity, low bars indicate there's no activity. So at a glance, I can tell that on Wednesday and on Tuesday, Mark was working really hard because he was in his office till all hours of the night, and he does that when he's in the zone. But fortunately, the whatever crisis he was dealing with is over, and so he's been on the Thursday. He's not been in his office for very long, which is great. So that hourly data can be accessed anytime. That link lasts for up to 3 days, and we often find that people that are very involved in their older adults' lives, they want to check multiple times a day. Or there's some that are just happy to get that message that says everything is okay, and that's enough. So it works for all individuals. That's all there is to it. So I'm going to stop sharing, and
Now, when I saw that one shot, it showed the temperature of,
yeah.
I'm assuming the room that that Mark was in.
Yeah,
Um,
it's such a good question, Steve. So what we find is that for a lot of older adults, they don't want to be a burden to their families. So a lot of them may not want to turn on the air conditioner because they're nervous that it will rack up the electricity bills, but they can often put themselves in unsafe situations. And so this sensor has a temperature built in so that if the temperature goes above 90 or it goes below 50, it alerts people that there might be unsafe conditions. So thank you for asking that.
well, I like that too because one of my loved ones is always saying it's too hot or too cold,
Right.
and we oftentimes don't have an easy visual
Yeah.
on that. So, okay, now. I know that for you're sharing customers who are uh, there's a lot of privacy involved in this. So obviously
Sure.
your mom and Mark, great examples to be sharing. But the one of the things that you mentioned to me when we first met is that most of your customers install the sensor in the kitchen,
Yeah.
not
We
necessarily in an office or a bedroom or a bathroom. Tell me a little bit of why that seems to be a an ideal place for monitoring.
So that's a great question, Steve. Thank you for asking that. We suggest that you put the sensor in a high traffic area, and it's remarkable how much information comes from plugging a sensor in a kitchen. What you find, most people start their days in the kitchen. They usually want to grab a cup of coffee in the morning. And so just having that sense of activity throughout the day, and they all circle through the kitchen multiple times a day. So you get a really good sense of what their waking hours look like, and also therefore, what their patterns are at night. And so we see there have been times where I see my mom has been up at like midnight or 1 o'clock, and I usually chat in the morning about it. And he's like, "What were you doing up so late? Is everything okay?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I was got caught up in a TV show, or I was talking to on an international call." And I was like, "Okay." So it gives us a chance to have a conversation, but it's amazing what just having one device. So it's only one device in a home, but just having one sensor in a home in a high traffic area, how much information and reassurance it can provide.
And yesterday I was giving a talk at a senior living community on solo aging, and a question came up on technology. And I actually found myself referencing Hello Every Day because um, there have been other types of products out there. The personal emergency response, I've fallen and I can't get up, and then things like that. But I was referencing the simplicity of this is that one sensor just monitoring basically one thing, is my loved one up and about. There's Even though we can collect a lot more data, on bathroom habits and how many times you open the refrigerator, that one thing I think helps reassurance. But I'm speculating on this. We've got somebody on the call today that can actually speak with authority on this topic. And Rebecca, tell us a little bit about your story and how you're using Hello every day.
Well, I am sort of the primary point of contact for my mom. She's 86 years old. She lives in independent living, pretty close to my home. And she's a fiercely independent woman. She has been on her own for probably 45 years now. Highly private, um, and is not interested in going gently into the night. She wants her life the way she wants her life, and has started to develop a little bit of dementia. And so I wanted to encourage her to continue to live in place, but I also have a high level of stress around what's happening. Is she out wandering? Is she eating? She lives in a place where there's shared meals. I had some concern that she was getting a little reclusive and maybe not going out. And I didn't want to pepper her all the time with those questions. What I have learned in this process is that older people still want autonomy and agency and dignity. What this device has done for me has allowed me a gentle way to see what's going on with my mom. I know if I don't see activity between, let's say, noon and 2, that maybe she skipped a meal. This just helps inform me in her habits and if she's taking care of herself. It'll also give me an idea if habits change. For example, there have been periods of time where she was up all night and then would go to bed in the morning. That worried me. I am her point of contact. I go to every doctor appointment with her. And so I have this sort of nuanced private information that I can share or help weave into a conversation without making her feel uncomfortable. It's just like an extra step of knowledge this has provided. One of the
Wow.
things too that I love about this, I'm sorry, I could go on forever because I really like it.
Oh, keep on
Is,
going. You're doing great.
my mom and I live in Oregon, and my sister lives in Washington, and my brother lives in California. We're a close family, but distance, like a lot of families, proximity to one another is hard. When we can't reach our mom in the past, we would call each other, panicked, frantic. Have you heard from her? Do you know where she is? Now that we're getting this daily reassurance, I get the high level of information, as Kabir said. My brother gets a lower level, but he knows every morning my mom's up. My sister and I, who did a lot of that calling back and forth, texting, do you know where she is? She's getting that sort of second level of information, and that's been really good for her. Now, we do, if we all notice some sort of curious shift in patterns, then we'll call each other. We don't like my mom to feel alarmed. We don't like her to feel like we're super worried about her. Like many older people, she doesn't want to be a burden. Well, what she didn't know is, yeah, she was absolutely a burden when we didn't know what was going on. So this has been just a really neat way to keep my finger on the pulse of her life. She, like I said, is super private. She did have the help by fallen button, hated it, felt like she was being oppressed by it. She fell and wasn't wearing it. And she wasn't wearing it because she sent it right back to the manufacturer, like did not want to tell anyone. This is a lot less invasive. Kabir will tell you a little bit more about the next level of product that we have and that my mom has agreed to. But for now, it's been really wonderful.
I love it. Now, another thing that I like about this is, and you may have shared this with me in our previous conversation, but the fact that when your mom is up and in the kitchen, not necessarily from a security perspective or a well-being perspective, but just, oh, it's okay to call mom now. She's up and about.
Yes.
And I can think about a million friends that I'm always nervous about giving them a call in the morning because they're not up and about.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. My mom goes to bed very late and gets up very late. And I do the opposite. And so it's nice to know when our schedules dovetail. Yeah, that's been really helpful.
I love it. All
Rebecca,
right.
I was
Well,
gonna,
yeah,
sorry, Steve.
anything to add that maybe Rebecca, sort of behind the curtains that Rebecca um, didn't bring up in her example there.
Well, I got a chance to meet Rebecca's mom, Paula, last week, and she's just a lovely person. And as Rebecca described, she's a force of nature, right? She's super independent, and I that is often the case with most of our customers, right? Our typical customers in between the ages of 70 and 90, they want to be fiercely independent. They don't want to be parented, like Rebecca said, right? So if you're calling them just to check in and say, "Are you okay, mom?" and then hanging up. That's the last thing that they want, right? So they want to feel seen. They want that autonomy, but they also want to feel seen where you're calling them for them. And
Mhm.
Rebecca also alluded to the stress that happens in families and siblings, especially when you're trying to remotely manage an aging parent that you're very invested in, but the logistics of it can be overbearing, even if they're only a couple of miles away, as the case is for Rebecca. And so that's really where technologies like this can be really helpful, Steve. The other piece that we kind of talked about but didn't talk about was this device has cellular, right? So it's got cellular built in here. That's why it's glowing green. So you can actually take it with you. So if Paula was going to the coast for a week, she could take the device with her, plug it into where she's staying, and it would work just the same way as it would at home. And so we're seeing more and more of our users actually take it with them, and it's giving them that reassurance even when they're traveling. And so I think those Rebecca and Paula's story is so powerful because it perfectly encapsulates sort of what we see over and over and over. The other piece that I wanted to talk about was just how difficult it is for some older adults to take that first step. It's that first step of I am aging and I need a tool. And all of those there are so many other companies out there that want to go all the way to like let's monitor everything, Steve, as you were talking about before we got on this call, right? But that's such a hard pill for most older adults to swallow. Even as Rebecca was saying, Paula did not want to wear something because it felt like it was parenting, right? And
And the
so,
stigma of it too
and the stigma,
sometimes can be, yeah.
exactly. So our goal has been how do we create the thing that is least intrusive and what is the least concession that they have to make in order to age with confidence? And that's really what the goal is of Hello Every Day.
Okay, this is great. Now, what I also liked about your story, Rebecca, is that your mom is living in a senior living community. Okay. It sounds like it's independent living, which, folks, if you're listening to this, it's basically an apartment and community. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of adult children sort of feel like, oh, yeah, my mom is in a senior living community. She's okay. But in an independent living community, there might be sort of just a pull cord in the bathroom or something like that. Uh, there usually is not a priority for the team member to monitor everybody's activity. So something could happen, and it could be a few days before it's found out with
Absolutely.
mom. And
Absolutely.
what I love
Yeah.
the idea of communities actually just part of living there is, hey, this is an option, and or just having it in the communities and then um, letting people voluntarily opt out.
I think this would be wonderful for places like my mom. When I was looking for a place for her to live, a lot of the communities would provide the button, and I knew full well my mom wouldn't use that. Her
Right.
place does have a pull cord. Um, it is not convenient. If she falls in the bathroom, and I guess a lot of people do, that would be the place to fall because there is no other pull cord. She has fallen outside of her apartment, and that concerns me more because one time she was out for a couple of hours before anybody found her. And I would know because I do look at my monitor all the time. If there was a weird time of day when my mom was having some empty space, I might just pop over and see what's going on. So it
Yeah,
is
and
a supplement, I would say, to
yeah,
all of that stuff.
and the pull cords, it's great that they're there, but it requires that you fall in a specific spot, and you could be 5 feet away from that pull cord and not be able to get to it. So, yeah, this is great, man. Okay, well, I think we've covered a lot about this amazing product, and I just want to remind folks that if you're out there for yourself and you want some confidence, if you got a loved one like Rebecca, that I'll put in the show notes the link where you can get to Hello Every Day. But also correct me if I'm wrong, Kabir, but one nice feature is providers like home care agencies, like senior living communities, can um, purchase these for their clients and then also have a dashboard. So if you're a home care operator, on the days that you're not there, allowing the family and your team to know that the client has not gotten up and is out and about and around the home could be a real lifesaver.
Yeah, Steve, I'm so glad you mentioned that. So you're exactly right. We have the ability to provide in-home care agencies with a dashboard that can monitor multiple sensors at a time. So their case managers or their home health workers can see their own sensor, their client sensor, but they can also see sort of all of the sensors that are being administered by that in-home care agency or that facility, which is really helpful. And that same sensor can report to the facility owner or the in-home care agency, but it can also report out to the families independently, and they can set their own settings. So that makes it really powerful as a benefit for um, it's just providing peace of mind to their families. One of the things that we hear from our facility partners all the time is how important the families are to the well-being of the individual that's staying in the in-home, in staying in the facility. And Rebecca's case in point, right? So a lot of the facilities require that interaction with families to make sure that they're encouraging them to take part in the social programs, etc. So having a device like this gives them a much better sense of sort of what their activity levels are, how much are they spending time in the room versus going out and socializing, etc. Because I think there is so much change that's happening for as you're aging, and so having that support network and having the ability to give people the right information so that they can be effective at their support is so important.
I love it. All right. Well, we have covered a lot today. Is there anything that y'all didn't share that you'd like to share um, about either this product or just caregiving in general?
Well, Steve, I knew it was special coming onto your podcast, so I figured I have to come with something different. And we have not been sitting on our laurels here. So we've been working hard at developing sort of the next generation of devices. And so we haven't yet introduced this on our website, but I figured since I was coming here, I was going to talk to you about it. But we now have a device that comes with a little call button. So it provides all the same benefits of the device that we talked about in the beginning of this program. But it comes with a call button that can work from 300 feet away, that basically will send a text immediately to people that you designate and that you've pressed that call button. So it's not going to go out to 911. It's not going to go out to a remote monitoring station. It sends it to your people, or it could send it to your neighbor, etc. And what we heard constantly from some of our older adults that were buying this device was, this is great. It's giving a lot of reassurance to my family that's getting the messages, but what's in it for me? And it would be cool if I had a way to communicate that I've fallen or I'm in distress or whatever. And so we quickly figured out that we can come up with a device that can also communicate that. And so this is that button. And so it's going to go on our website relatively soon.
Okay, great. And I guess what I like about that button that you're sharing there is that could be anywhere and in multiple spots throughout the house. So as opposed to where, like I was saying before, with the pull cord, where it is actually attached right next to the toilet usually.
Yeah,
So I
so
like that.
there's still nothing to wear. You could put it on the refrigerator, you could put it on a floorboard, etc. There's also nothing to charge. There's no batteries in any of this, so it's there's nothing to remember. Again, we're trying to make stuff as intuitive as possible for our older adults. So Rebecca's mom, Paula, actually took one of our first devices, and it was reassuring to her, for example, that I was able to go all the way to her laundry room and press the button because that's where she fell the last time. And so I was able to press it from the laundry room. So she's decided she's going to carry it with her, and it'll work in her entire apartment. Doesn't have to be in line of sight, etc. And so it's giving, I think, both Rebecca and Paula a lot of peace of mind that she could press that button. And in fact, we teased her about it. Paula was teasing Rebecca, oh, I could just press this and I could have you come over immediately. But it's been again that reassurance factor, right? So for most of the buttons that are out in the market right now, 99% of the time they're just sitting there on your neck, not doing anything.
Mhm.
Here, your device is actively working and communicating, and so the button is just there just in case.
I love it. All right. Well, thanks so much to both of you for joining me today. I hope that this resource and this technology helps some folks out there. And let's plan on checking in on a regular basis because it sounds like you're really innovating and developing this at a rapid pace. And Rebecca, I think you really it's great that you have a resource like this for your mom, and I can tell something like this really gives you a lot more peace of mind.
It really does. And thank you for having us and for all you do. I've really enjoyed your website, and I attended one of your sessions, and
Oh,
it's
cool.
been really helpful. So thank
I
you.
love it. All right. Well, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Steve, for having us.